no group of religious group in my country can show a candle to us that we are better than you. The only thing he can tell us is that you have no salvation. Because salvation only comes through the blood of the Lord Jesus, which you do not accept. That's the only thing he has to tell us. So Paul says that if this didn't happen, then your preaching is vain, useless, worthless, and your faith is also useless, worthless. As the American would put it, it's all garbage. Your religion is garbage if you didn't have this. This is the only sales point that you have. Then in verse 35, he says, someone may rationally ask, how do the dead rise again? And with what kind of body will they come? He poses this question not seeking information from us, but it's a rhetoric question, and he himself answers it in verse 42. He says there that that which is sown, means buried, is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown in corruption, and it is raised in glory. It is sown, means buried, a physical body, and it is raised a spiritual body. Once you die, this body, this physical body, is put into the dust, dust with dust, from dust thou art, and to dust thou shalt return, finished. But when you are resurrected, it is not the dust, it will be a spiritualized body according to Saint Paul. And on that premise, the whole of his 14 books in the New Testament are written. More than half the New Testament was written by Paul, 14 out of the 27 books, and the whole premises of his argument is that Christ was risen from the dead, resurrected spiritually. A spiritual body. When people say spiritual body, they think, well, body, what is body? Look at the dictionary. And then you say, look, body has mass, volume, dimensions. So it says, you see, there was a body. I said, this is an apparition. When you see an apparition, what is the apparition? It appears to us in the form of a body. The ghost you see, what do you see? You see something that appears to be a humankind. But we know that thing is something you can't grapple with, you can't grasp it, you can't pocket it. You see, the filmmakers, you American filmmakers in Hollywood, they have made these things something that we can imagine far more easily. Again and again, they conjure up, somebody coming out through a keyhole, a steam comes out, and then you find it materializes into a man, the invisible man. Or Sabu, he played the thief of Baghdad, in which you see that he picks up a bottle on the seashore, and he opens a bottle, and something comes out like a smoke, and it materializes into a genie. But that genie has a form, it has a body, but it is an invisible, imperceptible body, something that you can't grapple with. But you say a body, you see a body. If it's only thin air, you see nothing. It might be there, but you see nothing. So it materializes, so we say it appears to us in the form of a body. So, spiritual body, says Saint Paul. That's his understanding of the resurrection. Everybody, anybody, when you are resurrected, you will be spiritualized. And he was only confirming what Jesus had said in the Gospel of St. Luke, according to the records, chapter 20. Have some water, please. Thank you. In chapter 20 of Luke, we read there that the Jews, his own people, they come to him. They were always coming to him with poses and riddles, trying to trip this man of God. And now they come to him, and they say, Master, in the Hebrew language, Rabbi, respected learned man, priest, bishop, whatever, Rabbi. There was a woman among us. And that woman, according to a Jewish practice, had 7 husbands. See, there was a Jewish custom that if one brother died, and if he left no offsprings, then the second brother takes her to wife. And when he fails and dies, the third fellow takes her to wife. And when he fails and dies, the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth, and the seventh. 7 guys had this one woman, one after another. But there was no problem, because it was all one by one. So they're asking Jesus now that at the resurrection, which guy is going to have her? because they all had her here. So if you have her here, you want to have her on the other side. This is natural. Suppose you and your wife are resurrected and you see on the other side me. He said, darling, sweetheart, come, sweetie. This is natural. If you recognize your wife, on the other side, he says, well, the closeness that you have established on this earth for 5 years, 50 years, you have been together as husband and wife. Now you want to establish or continue the same relationship on the other side. But at the resurrection, since everybody is resurrected instantaneously, simultaneously, same time, then the 7 brothers waking up one time and they see this woman, then everybody will be going after her. You see, this is mine, I had her. The other guy says, this is mine, I had her. Everybody had her. And everybody will be fighting over this one woman as wife. And there'll be war in heaven between the 7 brothers. Each person can't get away. This is mine, this is mine. Now, where you come from? He says, I had her. Because they won't remember the other guys having her before them. You see? So they want to know from Jesus which guy is going to have her on the other side. Because they all had her here. In answer to that, Jesus says, he says, neither shall they die anymore. Meaning that once they are resurrected, they will be immortalized. Neither shall they die anymore. They will be immortalized. In other words, the things that kill a person, lack of food, shelter, clothing, rest, these things will not be necessary on the other side. Once you die, you do not die a second time. No more death, immortalized. This is a physical body which has got its physical needs, food, shelter, clothing, sex, rest. That body, no food, no shelter, no clothing, no sex, no rest of the type that we know. It will be of some kind, other kind, spiritual kind, but not this kind. So he says, neither shall they die anymore, for they are equal unto the angels. In other words, they will be angelized. They'll have spiritual bodies like angels. What kind of bodies they have? Not this. For they are equal unto the angels. They will be angelized. They will be spiritualized. They will have spiritual bodies. They will be spirits. For they are equal unto the angels and the children of God. For such are the children of the resurrection. Such spirits. They will be such spirits. Paul says spirits. Jesus says spirits. I wonder if there is a single person here who takes exception to that. He says it will be this body. Is there one here? In the Royal Albert Hall, in front of some 6,000 people in London, I posed the question and there was not a single Muslim or Christian who could take exception to these axiomatic truths that resurrection, at that time, your bodies will be spiritualized. Paul says so, Jesus says so, I say so, and you say so. So he says the spirit has no flesh and bones. In other words, I'm not what you are thinking. You are thinking that I've come back from the dead. That is not so. I'm not resurrected. And yet the whole Christian world, they say that he died and he was resurrected. The man says, I am not what you are thinking, and eating broiled fish and honeycomb. These are the needs of this physical body. But somehow, you see, people get programmed. I was talking about people getting brainwashed. At the Berkeley University in 1977, I was talking to my American people, some teachers and students, and I said, you people are brainwashed. So one professor stood up, he says, I beg your pardon, we are programmed. I said, right, programmed. Not brainwashed. So we all get programmed. See, from childhood, because our salvation depends on this, that we must believe that Christ died and was resurrected. But resurrection is spiritual. And we find that everything about Jesus, after his post-crucifixion events, not once does he appear to be a spirit. He is ever in hiding. He is ever in hiding. He never came out into the open. He never went to the temple of Jerusalem. He had given the Jews a sign. He never went to fulfill that sign. Sign means a miracle. To say, look, you remember what I told you? Here I am. Do your worst. but he didn't dare do anything. He didn't dare to go to meet these people, the Jews, his own people. He had given them a sign. In Matthew chapter 12, verse 38, 39, 40, we read there, again, the same type of confrontation. The Jews come along, and they said, Master, again, in the Hebrew language, Rabbi, we would have a sign of thee. In other words, we want you to show us a miracle, to convince us that you are above the ordinary. You are the man we are waiting for, the Messiah. Do something like flying in the air, like a bird, walk on the water, give life to the dead, do something, man, then we know that you are above the ordinary, so that we can believe that you are our Messiah. In response to that, Jesus says to his people, he said, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. It's a horrible nation, horrible people. You're looking for miracles, tricks. Tricks to convince you that I am a genuine man of God. You want me to show you some tricks? Magic? He said, an evil and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, but there shall no sign be given unto it. No sign, no miracle, except the sign of the prophet Jonah. Only one, none but one. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the whale, so shall the Son of Man, referring to himself, be 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the earth. This is the only sign I'm prepared to give you. The only miracle I'm prepared to concede to is this. He didn't say, you know, blind Bartimaeus, I healed him. You know, that woman with issues, bleeding profusely for years, she touched me and she got healed. You know, I brought up Lazarus back from the dead. You know, that girl, she had died and I brought her back. You know, that fig tree, I destroyed it from its very roots. You know, I killed those 2,000 pigs. You know, I turned water into wine. Nothing. Nothing of the kind. He never showed any of these things. He says, look back, man, what I have done so far. Said, the only sign I'm prepared to give you is the sign of Jonah. What happened to Jonah is going to happen to me. His miracle is my miracle. And I have been asking these missionaries of Christendom, these hot gospelers, these Bible thumpers, evangelists, preachers, I said, now, what was that sign? He said, my sign is the sign of Jonah. I said, what was that sign? And believe me, in 40 years, no Christian worth the name has ever come forward to tell me what was that sign. I said, did he fulfill it? He said, yes. I said, what? How? Speechless. Of course, our doctor, Robert Douglas, may be better prepared. He might know all these things beforehand. He is a missionary, you know, in the Middle East among the Muslims has been, and he's somebody big in the Zwemer Institute. He might have the answer. But I will give it to you. In case he fails, I might as well give you beforehand. What was the sign? I said, look, to get the sign, to know what was the sign of Jonah, you have to go to the book of Jonah in the Bible. And that book of Jonah is 1 page. This is the page. 4 short chapters, 1 page. So if you go to the book of Jonah,